Hello and welcome to Learn Data. It's great to have you on this channel. I'm Nilesh, and in this video we'll continue to learn about time zone in pandas, and we'll build up on the intuitions that we discussed in the previous video. So here we'll look at how you can add a time zone to a date range, and then we'll use the libraries pytz and dateutil to add time zones using the tz.localize, tz underscore convert, and tz underscore localize. Then we'll also look at how to convert to UTC time using tz.tzutc and the time zone UTC. So let's get into Jupyter Notebook and start coding. Here I've already imported these 5 libraries this time: NumPy, Pandas, datetime, pytz, and datetuil. I think the pytz is already included in Pandas, so maybe do not have to import it separately, but I've imported it here anyways. And in addition, these are the versions that I'm using. The versions that you probably want to make sure that you're using is for Pandas, I'm using 1.10, and for pytz and dateutils, these are the 2 versions. So I suggest upgrading it to this version if possible, if it's okay on your system to do that. Now let's first go ahead and create a date range without a time zone. So we are going to create without time zone, and then we'll go ahead and add a time zone to this date range. So okay, a is equal to pd dot date underscore range, and here let's say the date is 2020 dash 08 dash 11 00 hours 00 minutes, and then periods is equal to 3, frequency is equal to, just put a day, and that's the date range we have. I'm going to magnify this a little bit. Okay, so that's the date range we have, and now if we look for the time zone we get nothing, and that's because it's none. We can check that by saying is that none, and we get a true answer back. So how do we add a time zone to this? To add a time zone, what we want to do is type a is equal to pd dot date underscore range, and again we have the same date 2020 08 11 0000, and then we have periods is equal to 3, frequency is equal to day, same, and then tz is equal to Europe. This is the time zone I'm adding, Europe London. And then when we look at a, this is the date range we have, and this time within here we have this Europe London listed. Previously we just had nanoseconds, now we have nanoseconds comma Europe London, so that's the time zone added there. Here we can check that we have a time zone by typing a dot tz, and we get that this is the time zone added to that particular date range. Now how can we use the dateutils library to add a time zone? So let's look at that. So when using datetuil, we'll again go ahead and create a new date range. So pd dot date underscore range, and this again can be 2020 dash 08 dash 11 0000 hours, periods is equal to let's keep that 3, frequency is equal to day, and then for time zone what we'll do is we'll add as the next step. So that's the b date range we have. Now we can add b is equal to b dot tz underscore localize, and within here if you use date util comma Europe comma London, then that's the way we can add a time zone to the date range. Now here if you notice, the date range date utils uses your time zone information from the operating system, so that's probably the path to the time zone file on my computer. You'll see a similar file with a different path maybe on your system. So that's another way to add a time zone. Now let's look how we can add a UTC time zone using dateutil. So for that we'll create another series. PC is equal to PD, and let's add UTC time zone. So time zone. So C is equal to PD dot date underscore range. Then we have 2020 dash 08 dash 11 00 hours 00 minutes, and then we have periods is equal to 3, frequency is equal to day, and then we have the time zone tz is equal to date util dot tz dot tzutc and open close parenthesis. Now if we look at C, we have added the UTC time zone to that particular timestamp. Now let's look at another way where we can add a time zone to a datetime timestamp. So we're adding using datetime.datetime and pytz. How can we do that? For this general method I would suggest using is creating a time zone here. So p variable pytz dot time zone, and here we are going to specify Europe backslash London, and after that we can create the timestamp. So let's say q is our timestamp using datetime.datetime, and here we have year is equal to 2020, month is equal to 8, and then we have day is equal to 11. So now if we look at q, that's the date time we have. Here we can go ahead and now add the timestamp, time zone, which is tz.localize q. And now if we look at q, we have added the time zone tz info. So we have added the time zone information to the date time that we had earlier. So that's one way. Now we can also go ahead and add the UTC to that particular date time. So using datetime.datetime, and then we are going to use pytz again, but then here we are going to use the add the UTC timestamp. So the method is similar. We have tz is equal to pytz dot time zone, and we have UTC, and after that we again go ahead and create our date time. So datetime.datetime, and here we can specify the year 2020, month 8, and then we have the day, say 11, and then we can specify the same, everything else stays the same, tz.localize q, and then if you type q we get the tz info as ut. So that way we have now added the UTC timestamp to date time. Next, let's see how we can use the pytz. So say pytz. So for this, the same method, we create the time tz variable with a time zone pytz dot time zone, and here we use the Europe backslash London, and we'll create a date range this time. So pd dot date underscore range, and let's say 2020 dash 08 dash 11 00 hours 00 minutes, periods is equal to 3, and then we have frequency is equal to just 1 day. So that's the date range we have, and to this date range we are going to add the time zone. So the first one we'll go ahead and create is a.tz underscore localize tz. So when we are using contrary to what we did earlier for localize, we have the tz variable before this dot sign, and in the parentheses we provide the date time. However, here we are providing the date range before this dot sign, and then within parentheses we have the time zone information. So when we run this, we have created this date range, which now has the time zone Europe London added to it. Next, let's go ahead and use the tz underscore convert to change the time zone. So if we have a dot tz underscore convert Europe London, so now we can, as you can see, we get an error. tz naive timestamps cannot be used to convert, so we first have to use the tz localize. So what we can do then is we can store this in a variable a1, and let's call this a1. So now we have that. Now to this a1 we can go ahead and change this. So let's say we add US Eastern. So now what we have done is we have taken the timestamp that we had earlier. So we started with the timestamp A, which was a naive timestamp. Then we added a time zone which was Europe London. So we localized it to Europe London, which was on the A1, and then we use the tz underscore convert to convert the Europe London time zone to US Eastern. So in doing so we use the pytz method. Now using pytz we can also convert to UTC timestamp, and to do that again we'll create the time zone variable. Tz is equal to pytz dot time zone, and here we use the UTC, and then let's go ahead and create the AU variable that has the date range pd.date underscore range, and again 2020-08-11. You can go ahead and add 0000 hours, minutes, and then we have periods is equal to 3, frequency is equal to day. Now what we can do is add the time zone information. So au.tz underscore localize tz. So we are adding this UTC to the time stamps in here. So we have added the UTC time zone, as you can see. So the date range that is output now is time aware. Next, let's look at how we can use the dateutils again. Datetuil. So here we are going to use the tz underscore localize with the datetuil. So tz is equal to we'll first go ahead and create a string datetuil backslash Europe backslash London, and then we have the date range. So b is equal to pd.date underscore range, and then we have 2020-08-11 minutes, periods is equal to 3, and then we have frequency is equal to day. Now we can use the tz underscore localize. So b is equal to b.tz underscore localize tz, and we have this b right here. So using the dateutils in the string, we were able to convert this timestamp to the Europe London time zone, or this date range with timestamps to Europe London time zone. Now let's look at another example where we can convert to UTC using this similar method. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this, copy, and instead of this time zone and the string, we are going to use the dateutil. So dateutil dot tz.tzutc, and this is the same method we used earlier in this video. And let's change the variable to c. I will keep the same date range, everything else stays the same. And now when we run this, we see that we added the time zone UTC to this particular date range. Okay, so that was it for this video. I hope in this video you learned how to create a date range, how to add time zone to the date range using either pytz library or the dateutils library, and also how to use tz underscore convert or tz underscore localize and dot localize to kind of add or change time zones for existing date range. Hope to see you all in the next video. Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.